Flock Nation, welcome inside the vault. It is Monday, December 30th. I'm Bobby Trossett, as always, joined by my birthday co-host today. Happy birthday to Sarah Ellison. We appreciate you guys for being here. The live chat is already celebrating accordingly, and how could we not? You're an awesome co-host. We got a ton to get to over the next hour, but if I may, you're the older sister that I've never had. I appreciate our friendship. More so than anything, I feel like we always show our gratitude pretty consistently on this show. But what better excuse, right, than today on your birthday? So you've done an incredible job raising your 4 kids. I've had a chance to get to know them personally through the screen. You have a hunger for life that I think is contagious, and you've already had a tremendous day. You just went on with Kay Adams. You celebrated accordingly last night. We're going to celebrate you here a little bit off the top, even though I know we got a schedule to get to. But happy birthday, partner. Thank you so much for your friendship.
I appreciate you. Thank you for our friendship. Thank you for our partnership and the business we have created here together. Bobby said before the show, he's like, we're going to celebrate you on the show. And I was like, you can mention it, but like, let's move on. Of course, you had a beautiful, wonderful, kind speech, and I appreciate that. It has been a very happy morning. I see everybody in the chat. You guys are the best. It's already been a very, very happy morning, and I'm just ready to get the show talking about more MVP talk, Schedule 18 talk, playoff talk. I mean, we have it all.
And look at the super chats are coming in birthday form as well. So we'll get to those, of course, throughout the course of the show. We appreciate you guys for being here. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends at Homage. And a lot has transpired, of course, in a non-Ravens weekend, which is always unusual since they played on Christmas night in Houston. And tomorrow will, of course, kickstart the regular season finale, Week 18 of this 2024-2025 NFL regular season. But Sarah, Josh Allen and the Bills took care of business as we expected they would yesterday against the Jets at home in Western New York, and Josh only played 3 quarters, so we'll have the updated statistics in terms of where these 2 front-runner candidates stand for this year's NFL MVP, but there's a lot. And Charlie Kolar must have seen those statistics. Matter of fact, he definitely saw those statistics because he decided to rip who he refers to as hateful Buffalo Bills fans backing Lamar Jackson for this year's winner. That is one of many things that we've got to get to, including Dan Orlovsky. Sarah, I know you've been anticipating this one, walking himself back a little bit for declaring the race over 3 weeks ago.
Bobby, he called himself a dummy for doing that and then proceeded to say more dumb things. So we're going to talk about that. And by the way, I'm excited for this because we have more time to like breathe it out on our own show, because I was just on Kay Adams, and of course her question to me is, what's Lamar Jackson's MVP case? When I tell you, she was like trying to close the show, but I had points to make, and I got him in. I had a couple minutes. Hopefully we can get those out on Twitter later today, but I got him in, but I'm going to like expand on him today on our show. And by the way, Kay Adams said she watched our show nonstop leading into the Christmas night Netflix game, because obviously she was the host, one of the co-hosts throughout the entire Christmas night. And so she said she gave you a shout out, Bobby. She said that she was just nonstop watching us to prepare for that weekend, or for that Christmas day.
That's super cool. She was part of course, like you said, an awesome panel, RG3 among them, on Christmas Day for the first ever Netflix game. So good stuff there. Can't wait to see the clips that inevitably will surface, I'm sure, on X, and see the kind of heat that you brought. But let's get right to it, because Charlie Kolar, of course, is trying to make his way back. We learned within the last week or so from Mark Andrews, who went on the McAfee show, that one of Derek's explosive runs from earlier this year broke Charlie's forearm. So Charlie's been down for weeks now, but that hasn't kept him whatsoever from going to bat for his teammate and perhaps the current front runner in some folks' minds for NFL MVP. And we'll get to these statistics in just a second. But the NFL, in its Twitter account yesterday, put out, reflected through 17 weeks, the statistics back-to-back of Lamar versus Josh. And we will, again, get into the specifics of those next slide. But Charlie tweets out, hey, I'm not a math genius, but one guy seems to be leading in all categories except quarterback sneaks. Now, we know that Josh has 2 categories that are north of Lamar. Got a couple more wins, so win-loss record favors Buffalo, and rushing touchdowns. Of course they would, given that Derrick Henry has been an incredible red zone presence for this team in year 1. Charlie then goes on to write in that same thread after, I'm sure, Sarah, Bills fans eviscerated him in his bench. LOLOL. I did not realize how hateful Bills fans are. Josh is obviously really good. I just think LJ is the MVP. Sarah, number 88, getting after it in the X space.
Charlie Kolar did not mince words. He was unafraid. He was jumping from the top rope, led with his elbow, and landed right on Josh Allen's chest, face, whatever you want to say. Holy moly. When he says, I'm not a math genius, but one guy seems to be leading in all categories except QB sneaks, implying that his rushing touchdowns, which is keeping him near Lamar with the total touchdowns, his QB sneaks keeping him. I mean, how many touchdowns does he have from 1 yard out? I mean, I guess if you can do it, but when you got Derrick Henry right there, Lamar's going to hand it off.
Yep.
So yeah, he basically said that his teammates' main competition, the MVP race, has inflated stats, at least in the touchdown category, because of those QB sneaks. Now, when he rips hateful Bills fans, they're for sure out there. They've been in my mentions. But I just want to say this. Every fan base has hateful fans and cool fans and then everything in between. But we for sure during this MVP race have had more interaction with some of those more hateful ones. And I'm sure they would say the same about a certain segment of the Ravens fans.
Certainly. And we mentioned, and you can see it on the right-hand side of this graphic for those of you that are in the YouTube and Twitter space. But for the audio only, here's where things stand through 17 weeks for this NFL MVP race that, yes, is a two-man race. We will get to what Saquon did yesterday and what he's going to have a chance to do in the regular season finale against his former team. And you know what, Sarah? Hopefully they just give it to him now, the Offensive Player of the Year award. But as far as the MVP race is concerned, here is where things stand. In terms of passing yards, Lamar has 3,955 entering this final slate. Josh has 3,731. Lamar, 852 rushing yards to Josh's 531. 43 total touchdowns for Lamar, 41 for Josh, and just 4 picks for Lamar to Josh's 6, which is certainly an area when you look at what plagued him last year in his candidacy. He has cleaned that up. We'll get to that in just a bit. But Sarah, these reflect where we stand right now. And of course, the Bills laid the hammer down on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets. 40-14 was the final. And Josh did not play in that fourth quarter, as I mentioned a minute ago.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's obviously very clear that Lamar is leading in all these categories. Which is to Charlie's point. And so for those that want to say it's Josh Allen, they have to come up with arguments to say why the person leading with stats won't win. Okay, so last year, a lot of people say, well, Lamar didn't win the stats last year. And that's correct when we're talking about Dak Prescott. Josh Allen's another story. And so you have to have a legitimate reason why somebody else deserves it over the person that's having the better season. Okay. And so you can see it. Everything in green, this is via StatHead. Everything in green is what Lamar's winning. Everything in green is what on Josh Allen's side is what he's winning. Josh Allen is only winning in rushing touchdowns. That is exactly what Charlie Kolar is getting to. I don't know how many of those rushing touchdowns are like 1 or 2 yards out, but I guarantee there's not one from 48 out like Lamar had on Christmas Day. And then also Josh is winning in the quarterback record, which is 13-3. I don't know.
With a key difference to last year, right? Because Lamar statistically was not off the charts, as we've discussed, but they were the 1 seed. Buffalo, we know, has secured the 2 seed. That's guaranteed, which is probably why you won't see him at all unless he just hands off the ball in the opening series to continue his consecutive game streak started.
Exactly.
That's the key difference, right?
There
might be 2 wins. Right.
That's one of the key differences is the Ravens had the number 1 seed. They have a number 2 seed while Lamar's number 3. The second reason is because Lamar in December went out and knocked out several of his MVP competitors, including Tyreek Hill, Josh Purdy, and anybody else you want to mention from San Francisco.
Yeah,
Meanwhile, Dak Prescott melted down in December. So he had better stats, but then he played poorly in December. Whereas in this case, Josh Allen doesn't have the number 1 seed, and Lamar Jackson is not playing poorly in December, and Lamar Jackson has the head-to-head record or head-to-head matchup 35-10. So to me, you have to have legitimate reasons to say, okay, this supersedes the stats, which happened last year, and I don't see happening this year.
As we always say, these pieces of content are solely for the purpose of a good spirited argument, right? Not taking away from any one of these potential candidates going up against Lamar when it comes to Josh and or Saquon. I mean, look at the numbers that Lamar and Josh have put forth. Doug Clawson tallying these up. There are 2 quarterbacks in NFL history that have had 3,500 plus passing yards, 500 plus rushing yards, and under 10 turnovers total through 16 games. The only 2 to do it are not only these 2 players, but this season, these 2 players have done that, Josh and Lamar. So it's a really impressive list, super impressive seasons, respectively, for each one of these guys. And Sarah, yesterday, Tony Romo garnered plenty of attention in game during that CBS broadcast, which had the Bills and the Jets game. And he had a few things. And notably, he is not a voter. Tony Romo does not have a vote in this year's MVP race. But it was notable that he had this to say when asked about where the race currently stands. And I believe this was in the 3rd quarter. Whenever it was yesterday in game, it was way out of hand. And clearly the Jets had no chance against the Bills. Here's Tony.
If you're going to win an MVP on one extra touchdown pass or something, I don't think that's
I know
right.
You don't have a vote, but you know how voters are influenced. It always gets down
tied.
to these numbers.
I think they're tied in my brain. I think that Josh Allen might get the edge only because Lamar's had 2. If Josh had 2, you're going to side with the guy who doesn't have one. That's just human nature, in my opinion.
They've set a franchise.
And Sarah, hopefully those that are in the YouTube space have a little bit of context now on our title. Lamar Jackson's teammate rips hateful Bills fans over MVPity. Now, Kolar is not a part of that. The MVPity part is what I'm referring to here. And now Tony did expand on those comments. We'll get to that in just a second. But Sarah, not necessarily a voter, but somebody who has a prominent voice, to refer to it as human nature, that because one candidate hasn't gotten that accolade yet and the other has 2 of them, for that to be the reason, because of the closeness that this race has been for weeks now, to me feels very, very watered down, unfair, and just plain inaccurate when it comes to divvying out this award fairly.
You say he doesn't have an MVP vote, and that is correct. But it would not shock me if there are MVP voters who share the same sentiment. That it's like, okay, it's neck and neck. It feels tied. So what's going to break my tiebreaker? Oh, well, Lamar has 2 and Josh has 0. That is a terrible way. If you're a voter and that is what you're saying, I said this just now on the Kay Adams show. If I'm Josh Allen, that better not be the reason that I win MVP. If you think we're neck and neck and the tiebreaker, we're calling it MVP fatigued, right? But in Josh Allen's case, all that means is pity. That's all it means. Right. Like if you're saying this is neck and neck and so I'm going to use that you don't have any yet as the tiebreaker, that's an MVPity. That's the exact definition of it. And he's not the only one that has said it. I've heard many people say stuff like it's his time. You know what? You know what I mean? It's same thing. That is not how you can vote. Now, as much as, I was going to go on to Acho, but maybe you got one more here for Tony before we get to Acho.
Just to be fair to Tony, because that was in game. Okay. And then post game, he was in the booth and was doing a post game hit. And he expanded more on his thoughts in terms of where the race is and why he, as of right now, is siding with Josh Allen.
It's really close. I mean, honestly, it's a coin flip in a lot of ways. I only give the edge to Josh because of the team record. And right now it's like, that's the difference. If everything's so close, they're both such a huge part of the team winning. And I feel like Josh has probably had to do a little bit more. And that's saying, that's like by that much, just because Lamar is just so special. But, having Derrick Henry does help the process a little bit.
I will offer that. I will also offer James Cook, who finds the end zone, again, I believe 15 times this season. Yardage, obviously, a factor there and an advantage to Derrick Henry. The closing argument will go to Lamar Jackson likely. Josh Allen locked into the 2 seed, probably won't see him until playoff football. Could that sway things in your mind at all?
It could. If Lamar lights it up and has another Christmas type game, that could sway it because it's the last thing you see. So weirdly, the MVP might come down to a game in the regular season like that. So we'll see how it plays out next week, but it'll be fun to watch.
Sarah, I love Tony, but which one is it? which one is it, right? Is it because of Josh not having one yet and Lamar having 2, or is it team record? Which one is it? One was addressed in game. The other, of course, the latter of the two, what you just heard there post game.
Listen, to me, a lot of these are masking that true reason. I think the fatigue is out there. And so people are grasping at straws to be like, oh, no, it's not his time, because I now see that that's pity. My bad. I'm going to pull out this thing or that thing. But everything that they bring out, you can refute. Like his team record. Okay, but we can't have it both ways, because you're trying to punish Lamar for having Derrick Henry, right? But you won't say, but his defense and kicker lost him those 2 games against the Browns and the Raiders. You can't have it both ways. Either we're considering the team around you or we're not. And so that is what happened. Kicks were missed and meltdowns were had in the fourth quarter by this defense in those losses. That is what happened. And so why is it that both are punishing Lamar? You're punishing Lamar for having Derrick Henry, but you're also punishing Lamar for his teammates that didn't play well during those 2 games. Meanwhile, for all the other guys, you're not punishing them for their teammates, and you're excusing them because of bad play by teammates. You can't have it both ways. And so let's not forget that Lamar Jackson and the Ravens have had by far the hardest strength of schedule over the Bills and all other playoff teams.
Which now brings us to Emmanuel Acho's response. And Emmanuel is one of this year's NFL MVP voters, as he was a year ago. He saw my tweet in game, the first clip that Tony had to say, which again referred to his opinion that the race is tied. Well, Emmanuel said, 1, saying the MVP race is, quote, tied is a cop-out. You can't mark, quote, tied on the MVP ballot. Anyone saying this is pandering. His second point, voters cannot hold Lamar's previous wins against him. It should not matter at all that Lamar has won previously, alluding to what you just mentioned earlier on in the direct head-to-head matchup, which was months ago in September, the opening month of the season. Why should that come back to bite him, even though the Ravens absolutely dominated the Bills that day, and clearly Lamar was the best player on the field? And yes, it was before Buffalo acquired Amari Cooper, who's been a big deal for them at the deadline. That was in September. That's this season. That should stand.
This is where I've obviously disagreed with Acho quite a bit. We've had shows where I've tweeted back at him, trying to convince him on certain things. But this is where I will give him credit, because he has said it, that you have to have, number one, he said you have to have blinders on, which I appreciate. Like, he will not let fatigue be a part of this. So I hope he sticks by that. But that is what he said. And the other thing is he's right, because if you don't have a vote, it is so much easier to say, oh, it's a tie. And I say that even and again, legitimately, because I'm not trying to trash anybody. Josh Allen is having a sensational season. There's no doubt about that. I don't need to trash him in order to make Lamar look better. Lamar looks better all on his own. Like, Josh is being sensational. Lamar is sensational plus transformative. You know what I mean? Yep. And so we don't need to trash Josh Allen for that. And so it's easier to say that when you don't have a vote. Oh, it's a tie. Well, you're relying on the voters to split their votes, because they can't put tie. When it's a co-MVP, it's because that's how the votes laid out, And so and so that is an easy way out. And you cannot. This is a 2024 award. You cannot consider other years.
Okay, so now we've essentially concluded there's two main reasons, right? That
Yeah.
it seems to be, whether it's popular opinion or whether it's just part of the national media conglomerate that are going with this trend of pity, right? This theme of pittiness in terms of going in Josh's favor. There is another element of this as well, but we should get to some super chats as well because they're flying in, partner. What do you think?
Let's do some super chats.
Shall we? Okay. Bragging Rights Sports, and we appreciate you guys for being here on this 30th of December, Sarah's birthday. It is, of course, Monday, and Week 18 begins tomorrow. Bragging Rights Sports says, if we get the 3 seed, are we going to be getting the Sunday night game at home the following week against either the Steelers or Chargers? Those are the 2 likely opponents. I don't know if there's been any TV rights attached to that or those scenarios. Sarah, have you seen anything about that in terms of the game itself?
Yeah, we have that. We got some slides on it later on.
Oh, we do? Okay.
Yeah.
In terms of the Sunday night, meaning the day or the opponent?
The opponent.
Okay.
The
Because he's
opponent.
wondering. Yeah, they're wondering about
My bad.
opponent. I don't believe we have anything in terms of the network that'll be broadcasting it yet.
No.
Correct?
I don't think
Okay.
they've made those decisions yet.
We do know that this upcoming week, we'll have some slides on what this upcoming weekend will consist of between
Correct.
the Ravens and Browns and
my
when
bad.
that will be and all that good stuff. Maggie Liz.
If Josh hits the last game and Lamar balls out against the Browns, will it sway MVP voters? I'll just say this. Every time one of these guys plays, because they are all playing well. Every time somebody plays, that's when everybody's like, ooh, it's him. Oh, no, it's him. Because they're all playing so well. So could it? Sure. Will it for all MVP voters? We'll find out.
Deshaun Davis says, happy birthday to Sarah.
Thank you.
Not a fan hits you with another one as well.
Happy birthday, Sarah. We're wishing you many more. Thanks for spending it with us. We don't take it for granted. Woo, dummy.
You knew it was coming. Sherry Ramirez writes, I know it isn't much, but have a blessed day.
Sherry,
have a blessed birthday, Sarah.
It means the world. Thank you, Sherry.
Appreciate it, Sherry. Gordon Chase gives you happy birthday wishes as well, as does Darlene Harris, #Vault, and
gosh.
Ty Collins.
Happy birthday, Sarah. I'm a supervisor at Gate C. Stop by, fam.
Hey,
if I ever come back out for a game, sure.
Outside the bank. How about that young Trossett? Look at the young bull. Happy birthday to the absolute goat, Sarah, my youngest brother, showing you some love from upstairs. Love it.
Appreciate you, John. Much love.
Samuel McDougald says, I'm telling you, living in Buffalo, they are hateful, referring to maybe some Bills fans that Sam has come into contact with. Charisma.
Lamar to have the first ever 4,000, 1,000 season MV3 #. Lamar needs like 150 some odd yards. I don't know if he'll make it, but even if he doesn't, if he hits 4,000 and 4,000 with the 850 he already has, or 800 and whatever he has, already is more than any quarterback has had in those 2 categories. So he's already made history once he hits those 45 passing yards. But boy, would it be another level if he somehow got to 1,000.
148 to get to that 1,000 number. More on what Saquon needs to hit. Speaking of records, that's going to be unreal if he surpasses Eric Dickerson coming up next week. Not a fan writes, y'all noticed that in past years, they always had touchdown passes on graphics like this and excluded Lamar's rushing touchdowns, but you'd be hard pressed to find a graphic without total touchdowns now that Josh is in it. Captain Hard.
Voter fatigue, voters wanting to give Josh some type of accolades.
Everybody wants to get in on this talk right now. Carolyn Young says, they talk like Lamar hasn't had to overcome the 32nd defense in the league for the first 10 weeks when it comes to MVP votes. Sarah, you referenced that earlier on.
Pass defense.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Passing defense in terms of unit. And then they've really been, they've been a top 5, if not top 3 rushing defense all year long, it feels like. So we'll get into that. And appreciate you, Carolyn. Captain Hard.
The thing is, it's not close at all, though. People keep trying to make it seem that way.
MJ Eid says Kyle Hamilton catches an easy interception and a PI in the end zone against the Raiders. Punishing Lamar for these things is wild. There were a lot of missed opportunities, of course, in that week 2 game. Week 2, because they went 0-2, right? They lost to Kansas City, lost to Vegas, of course, at home, and what became the home opener. Jason showing some love.
My goodness. I love this. He's got scripture for me. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. In Psalms 118:24. Happy birthday, Sarah, and have a blessed day. Thank you, Jason. Same to you.
Heck yeah. 2 more, 19 of you already donating via the Super Chat tool today. We appreciate you guys. Not a fan writes, out of 12 rushing touchdowns, 6 have been
Oh, he's
1
got the
yard,
stats.
including 3 versus the Rams. 1 was 4 yards, 3 were less than 10 yards, 1 was 13, and his longest was 26 against the Chiefs, which was apparently the best touchdown ever. That was the
Wait.
signature. If I remember correctly, Josh's 26-yard rushing touchdown against Kansas City was absolutely electric, and because of the opponent, you would think that that holds a lot of weight in some folks' mind when it comes to the MVP vote, just in terms of signature moments. Lamar has plenty of those. Just ask Cincinnati, but he's got plenty of those. That's one of Josh's this year, no question.
For sure. And to be fair, for sure, that was an MVP vote moment. But I just want to burn this into my memory. So he's saying half his rushing touchdowns came from the 1 yard line. That's already half. Okay. 1 was 4 yards. Okay, so that means 7 were from the 5 yard line in. 3 were less than 10 yards. So now we're at 6, 7, 10. 10 are from 10 yards in. Okay. And half are from 1 yard in. 7 from 5 yards in. Good to know. Thank you, not a fan.
Appreciate you. And Juju says the Josh Allen MVP argument is fundamentally flawed. It's based on the Bills supposedly being in rebuild mode, but that doesn't work because it was contingent on the Dolphins and Jets being good. Now, technically, Miami is not out of the postseason race, but certainly they've had Tyler Huntley under center a lot more games that they would have liked compared to Tua this year. And, of course, the Jets are the Jets, Sarah. They are in disaster mode right now, and they're getting ready themselves to potentially rebuild, including an entirely new coaching staff and front office as well. Let's make sure we get in our homage shout-outs as well today, because today's live stream is brought to you by our friends at Homage. And if you go to the link that we have included both at the top of the show notes and as a pinned comment in the live chat, you will see a slew of different versions of Ravens gear. Sarah and I have modeled these off to you in recent weeks. Of course, Sarah's first ever t-shirt. Didn't you model the Angry Runs t-shirt to get us started several months ago? We continue to work with Homage. We will have it in our next giveaway episode, by the way. Today is not a giveaway episode. I should be very clear about that. The t-shirt giveaway episode will be coming up on Wednesday. But man, Sarah, I actually gifted several of my siblings this crew neck that I know we both have in different styles. Back home, they were loving this thing on Christmas morning.
Awesome.
I got a couple of these t-shirts as well to go around. So, of course, we should let you know that if you find something you like at checkout, from now up until February 9th, we have a discount code that you can apply to your total order value. It's going to take 20% off if you use code VAULT20. That's VAULT20. Partner, I know that we both had hauls just get in. Mine came in, I believe, on the 28th, if I'm not mistaken. Has yours arrived? And if so, what'd you get? What are you loving?
Yeah. I remember I showed my "Look What You Did, You Little Jerk" shirt for Christmas, that sweatshirt I had going on. But I got the t-shirt that highlights the new purple alternative helmet, along with a few others. When I tell you, Homage has probably more than doubled my Ravens wardrobe, and that was after working for the Ravens for 13 years. There's the one I got right there on the left, the black one with the purple helmet. Yeah, that's what I'm going to be wearing on Wednesday.
Heck yeah. This is the one you're referencing right here, right? That's the brand new one, alternate helmet. Yeah, good stuff. So anyway, the Trossett family, the Ellison family, they're well stocked, and we are as well. And I actually got some stuff on the tab that if you go to go-tos in the upper left-hand corner, I went to like go-to sweatshirts and hoodies, like non-Ravens branded stuff. If you just want like comfortable clothing, I cashed in on that just within the last week or so, and all that stuff arrived. So again, Vault 20 gets you 20% off your total order. We want to continue to thank Homage for the support that they're giving us. And again, coming up on Wednesday, we'll have our latest t-shirt giveaway episode where you can drop in a super chat, a couple other easy instructions to be eligible for this week's giveaway. So with that, partner, we began the show, of course, referring to and kind of diving into the pity argument when it comes to favoring some of those who favor Josh Allen over Lamar for this year's MVP award. The second is more with less. Care to explain?
The second argument is more with less. So just to recap, because we're about to dive into some words from Dan Orlovsky this morning on Get Up. So Joe Burrow had a great game over the weekend. he was 39-49, 437 yards, and 4 total touchdowns. Now, it did take him, the Bengals, to beat the Broncos, who the Ravens soundly beat. Took him until overtime. But afterwards, Dan Orlovsky writes, Joey, how come he has R at the end? Burr? Is that it?
He's saying Burr, like this dude's cold.
Oh, okay, Joey Burr. Okay, I got you. But it also is like goes along with Burrow a little bit.
Yeah.
So he says, y'all were right. MVP isn't over. And then in parentheses, that's on me. Yes, it is on you.
And Sarah, can I add in real quick
sure.
on that game itself? Sorry to cut you off your momentum here.
No, you're good.
Sean Payton didn't go for 2 with 12 seconds left on the clock after his team went down and had a chance to win the game. He chooses to kick the extra point, and you put yourselves in a position with a rookie quarterback on the road in Cincinnati against a desperate team, right? Denver's in the postseason as of right now. They need a little bit of help, and they need to win, obviously, coming up in the regular season finale. But Sean Payton electing not to go for 2 and the jugular in the ending seconds of regulation and leave it up to overtime, leave it up to a potential coin flip, and so on and so forth. To me, that was a head scratcher for me.
It boggles my mind when you have somebody who can move the ball, like the Bengals. I mean, it's similar. Like I wouldn't put the ball back in Joe Burrow's hands. I wouldn't put the ball back in Lamar Jackson's hands. I wouldn't put the ball back in Josh Allen's. I mean, anybody, Mahomes, anybody. I don't know. Yeah, I know he said something about, tying would have been beneficial for them too, but you still got to stop them in overtime, and you didn't. So yeah, I totally agree with you there. I think that was a bad decision. Meanwhile, as you probably saw, the Bills did beat the Jets 40-14, and it was a historic day for Josh Allen in terms of like his career, because he put up he got his 40th touchdown in that game, which marks his fourth season where he's put up 40 or more touchdowns in each season. That's phenomenal.
Five straight, it says.
Oh, it's 5 straight. There it is, 5 straight. You're right, because it has the 4 below and then the 40 in 2024. So that's phenomenal. Obviously, that streak doesn't mean anything in terms of 2024 any more than Lamar beating Vick's rushing record means much for 2024, because those are career numbers, right? So anyway, but that's the background to what we're going to get to with this clip from Dan on Get Up, because last week he said the only person that could really change his mind from Josh Allen was Joe Burrow. And then Joe Burrow went off. And so he was asked about, do you now feel like it's Joe Burrow? He ends up morphing it more into a conversation about Lamar again. So I'm going to pause it a few times as we go, Bobby, if you don't mind, to kind of pick it apart. All right, here we go.
Bengals get into the playoffs. Should Joe Burrow be the MVP? Gosh. He's had the best season. He is by
so this is the conversation, Greeny. I would still probably vote for Josh Allen. So I was the big dummy that said a couple weeks ago, like, the MVP vote is over. I was a little bit caught in the moment, okay? So no, it's not over.
Okay, so we're starting the segment off well, right, Bobby? We're doing pretty good. It's not over. I was the big dummy who said it was over. So thank you for fessing up to that. Appreciate it. But now then it goes downhill from there, because in my view, again, I say this as in a debate kind of format. I like Dan Orlovsky. I think he's an excellent analyst, and I have nothing against him personally. So all the words I'm about to say is to refute some arguments, and I think he makes some dumb arguments against Lamar. So let's keep going.
I still think I would give it to Josh Allen. The problem with the whole MVP conversation and narrative has been we have changed the definition. I said this weeks ago on First Take, okay? Offensive Player of the Year goes to the person who has the best season. That would be in the conversation, in my opinion, the Lamar Jacksons. Lamar's season has been absolutely off the charts. Saquon Barkley, absolutely off the charts. Most valuable is the definition. Who's bringing more of it? Are you a benefactor or are you a contributor?
I hope he's really about to make an argument that Lamar is a benefactor and not a contributor. So just want to pause that. And then he also said, he just said right there, if you're asking who the best season is, it's Lamar Jackson. Okay. So now he's got to come up with some reasons after you just declared that Lamar's the best quarterback. that he's having the best season. Now he's going to try to figure out how to still take it away from Lamar and give it to Josh. And he starts with benefactors versus contributors, like palm to forehead. Honestly, you know, okay, benefactor, contributor. Lamar's more of a benefactor than a contributor. Come on, Dan. Here we go.
I think the guys that make the greatest case to being the contributors is Josh Allen and Joe Burrow if he drags this team into the playoffs. I would still say Josh Allen. If we're having a conversation about MVP and quarterbacks, those quarterbacks in it, right? Lamar Jackson, unbelievable season. Guys get open more than Josh Allen and Joe Burrow's. That's the truth, okay? Joe Burrow's guys get open. Jamar and T are open the least amount, I think.
I'm sorry, I have to pause it again. Back up. He's now going to use a separation argument. He's about to use a separation argument to argue that it's harder for Joe with T. Higgins and Chase. Are we being real here? Dan Orlovsky, let's back up. A separation argument to make it seem like T and Chase are below the Ravens wide receivers. And I love the Ravens wide receivers. We are not going to trash them. But come on. I want to hear Dan say, if the draft started tomorrow and you got to take a duo, which duo are you going to take? Are you taking Zay and Bateman because of separation? Or are you going to take T and Chase? I cannot believe he's about to make this argument. Here we go.
Allen and Joe Burrow's. That's the truth, okay? Joe Burrow's guys get open. Jamar and T are open the least amount, I think. So Joe Burrow, look at this, okay? Lamar's average separation. That's the best in the NFL. I want everyone to understand that. 4.31, that is the most separation in the NFL. Josh Allen at 3.6 and 3.22, that's average yards. Both of those guys are bottom 10. So they're throwing, and look at to the right. Josh, 81 attempts thrown to guys that are covered. Joe Burrow, 96. So they're throwing more passes to guys that are covered and completing more passes to guys that are covered. So are you doing more with less? That's got to be a part of that conversation.
Bobby, that's a new argument. Are you like Lamar has less than Burrow or Josh Allen because of separation? What's your reaction to that? Because we know what mine is.
I'd like to take this time to congratulate Zay Flowers and Rashod Bateman.
Yeah.
Because they are now seen as elite of elites when it comes to their position, league-wide. Right?
I cannot.
When you look at the Jamar's and Jamar's having a historic season in Cincinnati alongside his quarterback, and yet they are in danger of missing the postseason. Now, there's a lot of scenarios that have gone right for them over the last week or two, and their percentage continues to go up and up in terms of whether or not they're going to make it. But they are struggling. They have had to be desperate. Desperate times have called for desperate measures for weeks now for Cincinnati. But as far as I'm concerned, Dan's argument absolutely is putting Zay and Rashod in a category that we have never, ever remotely had them in. And apparently they are among the league's best when it comes to wide receiver duos.
Yeah, he literally with a straight face, and then he asked the producers to put a graphic with it. Like, that's how serious he is to try to argue. Now, listen again. Zay and Bate are having seasons. Probably Zay very well may go down as the first Ravens drafted wide receiver that goes to the Pro Bowl as a wide receiver. Bateman, for sure, is looking like a genius signing by Eric DaCosta. But listen, come on, guys. Come on. I mean, Zay would never do it, but I think deep down they'd be like, okay, Chase is him. Chase, you know what I mean? Every wide receiver is going to say, okay, I'm number one in the league. But in the back of their minds, it's like, Chase. You know what I mean? Like what are we doing here? I will also say this in terms of separation. These separation stats, it's hard to measure exactly, but for sure quarterbacks have an impact on the separation. Okay? Lamar Jackson is extending plays. Lamar Jackson has, just like he does with Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson has the defense glued on him. Okay, so I cannot tell you how much Lamar is helping with those separation statistics, but I can tell you he does help with those separation statistics.
Oh.
Let me tell you what you cannot say. This one is totally wide receivers. How about, I'm going to come back to that slide. How about for Josh Allen? I don't even think I need to show screen grabs of what Josh and T did, because we all have seen it with our own eyes of what they've done mossing people. Okay, but how about this for Josh Allen? This isn't Josh Allen. Look at Keon Coleman plucking an interception from the guy in front of him. Look at Amari Cooper going into concussion protocol to make this catch, lands on his back and head, hits his head hard. Bobby, these two catches yesterday were sensational. Can we stop acting like Josh is playing with a bunch of trash around him? That's not happening. So you can talk about separation. Lamar has an impact on this. But this is Josh throwing up plays because his receivers, he knows his receivers will make plays for him.
Right.
Look at those catches from yesterday.
And you know what you got to keep in mind too, and when you look at those averages and that graphic that he put up, right, in terms of average separation, you have to keep in mind that, of course, Josh's will be lower than Lamar's in terms of average separation because he throws it more than Lamar does.
Correct.
Right? So not only are we talking about the playmaking ability here, but we also got to think about volume when it comes to Josh as a passer versus Lamar as a passer. Lamar is not asked to do as much passing in this well-balanced number one offense in the league because of everything he has around him.
Well, and then let's just go a little bit further, because that's just the wide receiver part. So people will try to use Derrick Henry against Lamar, right? Now, listen, I don't think that James Cook is Derrick Henry. But again, acting like this is the tiebreaker, there were two different statistics that the CBS crew put up last night that highlights how well James Cook is playing. Okay, again, this is not Josh playing with trash. Okay, in the 4 December games this season, James Cook has 3 100-plus yard rushing games. That's tied for first in the NFL in this crunch time of December. Yards per rush in December, James Cook is 7.4 yards per rush. That is first in the NFL. What are we doing here? How about this one? As they're making a field goal, they flash this. James Cook, he had just scored his 15th rushing touchdown this season. That's the most in the NFL. And that's when saying Josh has 6 from 1 yard out. They could have given it to James.
Well, let me add in this too, because he's a pass catcher for them as well. He could do a little bit of both. And I have the numbers up in front of me. 32 receptions for 258 receiving yards, 2 touchdowns on top of what he's done on the ground this year for Josh.
There you go. So let's add that in. And then one last thing I want to say about Dan in there is he said, well, last year we've changed the definition of valuable. They have not done. I learned this by watching Chris Broussard, who's not an MVP voter for the NFL, but he is for NBA. He's like, I don't understand you guys in the NFL. You guys have changed the definition. To us, we don't take the word valuable so literally. Like to us, it's like the most valuable. Like you're the best. You know what I mean? You're the best. And so I agree it's changed a little bit because it's really emphasized on value. But Dan Orlovsky in there kept saying, well, last year, if it were about stats, Josh would have won it. How many times do we have to refute this? Like, I don't know if he's listening. Look at the stats. Everything in green. This is last year. This is not this year. Yeah. Last year, everything in green is what Lamar won, and everything in green on Josh Allen's side is what he won. What are we doing here? Like, it was back and forth. Lamar had won in several categories, including completion percentage and the few interceptions by far. Josh had those 18 that we all know. Lamar had a better quarterback rating. Obviously, had the better rushing yards. So, like, why do we keep saying if it were stats, Josh would have won it? No, it would have been Dak, but we already explained how Dak melted down. You need to have a compelling reason why the stats aren't the number one thing. And I'm not seeing a compelling reason. Voter fatigue / pity is not a compelling reason. Okay.
Well, let's be clear too, that anybody that has, one, it's double-digit interceptions. 2, this is close to 20 interceptions in a 17-game, 18-week season. There's a reason why Josh was not anywhere near a front runner. What did he finish? 5th last year?
He was 5th in voting.
fifth in voting,
Yes.
it's because of what you have circled on the screen right there.
Yes.
You can't give the ball away that much. That's been the problem. That's been the knock for Josh, right? For Lamar, it's been his postseason inconsistencies.
Which
for
has
Josh,
nothing to do with the MVP.
It's been recklessness.
Right. Totally agree. So miss me with all of this. They're doing more with less. This whole thing, like Zay and Bateman have a better separation statistic, so therefore the tie goes to Josh. No, miss me with that. That Derrick Henry, who's having career years in rushing per attempt and rushing success, and I want to point this out. I pointed it out specifically in terms of Gus Edwards, but Ken McCusick, and we got to blow this up here, Bobby, because I know it's small, but Ken McCusick pointed out Gus Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Devontae Freeman, Mark Ingram, Latavius Robinson, and Derrick Henry all have about the same rush success rate with Lamar. It's in that 57 to 59% rush rate. And all of them were lower both before and after playing with Lamar. All of them. You're talking about older guys, young guys, guys in their prime like Gus Edwards.
Different style running
different
backs.
styles. It doesn't matter. They all have a very similar rush success rate with Lamar. Ken went so deep into the numbers. He said there have been 51 running backs since 1995. You have to have 80 plus carries going back to 1995. Okay, that's easy. 80 carries. That makes you a more legitimate running back if you've had that many carries. There's been 51 with a 56.5% success rate or higher. Okay, 56.5 is very high. There's only been 51 since 1995 who have done it. Bobby, almost a fifth of them have been running backs for the Ravens, but running backs for the Ravens between 2018 and 2024. Oh, so during the Lamar Jackson era. 1/5. Miss me with the only Henry's helping Lamar and Lamar's not helping Henry. It's just not happening. So this whole thing, he might want to keep saying he's doing more with less, and something tells me he didn't bring up Derrick Henry because that's been refuted. Maybe he's seen that. So then he went to the even weaker argument with the wide receiver separation. It was just terrible analysis in my view. And again, I love Dan Orlovsky.
What about strength of schedule? Because obviously that comes into play here when you look at win-loss record, and that is, of course, won by, I guess, in favor of Josh as of right now with 2 more wins in the left-hand side of the column than Lamar. What do you have circled here?
Yeah, so this was before Sunday's games. I think this was Saturday. But so if you look at the strength of schedule, which is the SOS column in yellow, and then there's strength of victory, which is SOV in the green column. So strength of schedule, the Ravens are at 0.545. That is by far the most difficult schedule of anybody on here. And this highlights the 10 best records in the AFC, including all the playoff teams. It is way more than KC, which is at 0.477. It's more than Buffalo, which is 0.493. And then there's Lamar at 0.545. So everybody keeps saying, well, Josh beat, the Chiefs, which is a big deal. And I think that should go on his resume. And he beat the Lions. That one, to me, their defense was a mash unit. Like, to me, I don't know why that's lifted up so much, given where the Lions were at the time that they played them. Okay, but you give them that. Still, by far, Lamar has gone through the harder gauntlet of games. It doesn't matter who the Ravens play in the playoffs because they will have already played them. That's how hard their schedule has been. They've played all the playoff teams. All
Sarah,
of them.
Look at that. Look at this. This is staggering. The next closest strength of schedule are the Chargers. And they're 9-6. Yes, they're in the postseason. They have a 5-11 winning percentage. That's the next closest.
Yeah.
So to your point a second ago.
And look at Cincinnati, by the way, who Orlovsky's ready to crown for Burrow. They're at they have the worst record, and they have the easiest strength of schedule.
Yeah, among everyone on this list.
Except for Miami. They're the second easiest.
Well,
Now, sorry, go ahead.
strength of schedule. Okay, yeah, yes.
Strength of
They
schedule,
they have the least strength of victory.
Correct. Which is because the Broncos were the first time they beat a team with a winning record, and it took them till overtime to do it. So strength of victory, if any of you were wondering, is the teams that you beat. How good were their records?
Yeah.
Again, Ravens are demolishing everybody else at .539. Nobody else even hits the .5s.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Yeah.
So this whole thing where Josh Allen, yes, he has 2 more wins. But again, I go back to the where the defense was, and that Lamar was number 1 in the quarterback betrayal index because he had overcome those early issues with the defense and Justin Tucker. And then he still has the harder schedule, and he has a better strength of victory.
And to put a closing argument on this discussion, right? The Bow, what have the core 4 done against one another? The core 4 in the AFC, Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen. This graphic courtesy of First Things First and FS1. Mahomes and Lamar, the only 2 of the 4 that have had winning records against one another. Mahomes is 2-1 against those guys that I just listed. Lamar is 3-1. Burrow, notably, 0-3. Josh, 1-1 thus far.
And listen, Ravens are going to respect all their opponents as they should and as we do. But I keep hearing all over the national airwaves is that nobody wants to see the Bengals. And again, I agree that I think the Ravens would match up better against Houston or Denver or whatever. But let's not forget Lamar is 10-1 as a starter against the Bengals.
Yeah.
So I don't know why people I keep forgetting that or mentioning it.
And in fairness, right, I said most notably Joe Burrow being 0-3. I should also say that's just as notable. He has done, and these numbers back that up, he has done everything in his power in those games. Look at the numbers on average against these guys this year in games that he's 0-3. Sarah, he's accounted for over 360 total yards per game on average. He's thrown 11 touchdowns to just 2 turnovers and finished with a passer rating of 116.5. So I think Cincinnati and Baltimore, at least through 10 weeks this year, can commiserate together on the defensive units because that unit in Cincinnati has plagued the Bengals, Sarah, time and time again. Sure, they've played better in recent weeks, but make no mistake about it, that unit for Zach Taylor potentially wasting a historic season between Burrow and Chase. And for Bengals fans, that's just got to be absolutely devastating.
Absolutely. Before we get to the week 18 schedule and the playoff kind of scenarios, do we want to do a couple more super chats?
We do, and we want to say thank you to all of you. It's a great jam-packed show on this Monday. Over 3,600 of you here to celebrate Sarah's birthday. Thank you.
I'm also seeing that people have now seen my segment with Kay. How did it go? What did you guys think?
Okay.
I'm curious. I saw Truth say he saw it. Let me know how you thought it went. I obviously was there. I haven't watched it yet though. So
you were there. Yes, you were there.
I just don't know. You know how you don't know how you come off though. So I'm just like, yeah.
I can't wait. Can't wait to watch it. Let us know in the chat, guys. We appreciate you for being here. Michael Vick's reaction to Lamar breaking his record coming up in just a second. But again, we
still have that too.
We have a lot to get to. Lots to get to. And let's cycle through some super chats. 37 have come in today. Just to be clear, Wednesday is our Homage t-shirt giveaway. So we look forward to that coming up later this week. A-Rod hits us with Lamar is first versus teams over 500 since last season. The Bills' schedule is 21st hardest. Ravens, 4th hardest. If they want to take the stats out of it, just looking at other arguments there to this NFL MVP race. Thanks, A-Rod. And Jang with some birthday wishes.
Happy birthday, Sarah. I hope you have more blessings and birthdays to come. Thank you and Bobby for all that you do. I will be watching the Saturday's game during my layover in Japan. Go Ravens.
Heck yeah. And spoiler alert, the team's playing on Saturday over Sunday, which, whatever. But yeah. We'll get to that in just a second with the specific time and everything. Whiplash4 says, Happy New Year, team. Longtime audio-only listener. Looks like we converted him over to YouTube. Love it. It's funny that we've complained about Lamar not having weapons for every year, and now that he does, he's suddenly not adding as much value. Whiplash, appreciate you. Happy New Year to you and yours as well. And a past T-shirt winner, Gerald Jackson. But you know what? Did Whiplash send us 2 on accident? Looks like we got 2 here from Whiplash. Hopefully you're only charged for one, Whip, but
Yeah.
thank you. If for whatever reason you did, thank you for that. And Gerald Jackson, partner.
Is it possible guys are more open because Lamar is on the field? Just the threat of an off-scheduled pass or scramble stresses a defense. That's true. It's hard to measure it, but it's absolutely true.
None of you beeswax says, ask Cincinnati to swap duos and see how hard they laugh. Also, I wonder how much of Lamar being able to buy time, as you alluded to earlier on, contributes to those separation numbers. Happy birthday, Sarah. Jemmy 93.
These MVP talks have truly made media analysts do these mental gymnastics to prove such a ridiculous point, bending over backwards to push a narrative.
Asmodeus, a.k.a. Richard, these guys are regurgitating what narrative their producers want to push. That's the problem with mainstream media. I doubt Dan actually believes the crap that he's saying. Taylor.
I think Dan really does want to give it to Josh because Josh hasn't had one yet, and I think he's trying to cover for that. That's my
okay.
hypothesis that could be totally wrong because it's not fair to try to read people's minds, but that's kind of my take. All right. Taylor says Bills made NFL history with 13 people with a touchdown. No help? ?
The Beautiful Lie says, surprisingly, there was no mention of, quote, voter fatigue when Montana, Young, Mahomes, Warner, Unitas, Favre, Brady, and Jim Brown were winning multiple MVPs. Not even while Peyton Manning and Aaron Rodgers won 9 between the two of them. Oceans.
Makes no sense that this year getting MVP requires someone to play with a bad team. Funny Dan says Burrow should win even though he has Chase. LOL. Exactly.
Edgar Christie says, what's up, Vault family? What would be more significant in your opinions? Lamar getting to 1,000 rushing yards or him breaking the passer rating record? The latter.
For sure the passing record. For sure the passing record. That'll go. Well, let's see. But I think she's saying to pair the 1K with the 4,000.
Well, I see that, and that's what I was just thinking in my mind. But where my mind went first,
yeah,
was Lamar holds basically every rushing record now that a quarterback's ever had,
right? As a
single season,
right? As a solo,
I know.
Yeah,
you're going to couple it with the 4,000.
To me, whether it's the 1K rushing paired with 4,000 or the 1K paired with the passing record, the whole point is that there have been people that have had 5,000 plus years before, but they haven't done it in this way, and they haven't done it while running this much. I actually think, now that I think about it more, the 850 already does it because nobody's ran for 850 and passed for 4,000. Yeah. So he's already done it. So yeah, I'm going to go with the passer rating, and he'll always be up on that graphic of who's going to beat Lamar with the best single, and everybody will already remember Lamar is the best rusher. Yep. And so yes, I'm going with the passer rating because then you're going to go back to Lamar holds the rushing career record and he holds the passer rating, single season passer rating. Yes. Okay. We just talked that through live. It for sure is the passer rating record.
Edgar, you got us churning and burning right now. SM2208.
This pity MVP case for Josh Allen is annoying already. 2019 MVP just shows you Lamar is able to win with anybody, but using Lamar weapons against him is just a lazy cop-out. We know who the real MVP is.
Sod Blitz 34 says last year Lamar won because he had 13 wins and 10 were against winning teams. This year, Allen has 13 wins and 10 are against losing teams. All these statistics that we have not yet seen. You guys are all digging up. Bragging Rights Sports.
I don't know about you guys, but either way, Chargers or Steelers, I think we're getting the Sunday night game on Wildcard Weekend, #Vault.
Sod Blitz again comes back with more. Versus current AFC playoff teams, Lamar's 5-2. Allen is 1-2. Allen lost to Lamar by more points, 25, than Lamar lost 5 games, 22. And we all know who accounted for those 22 missed points, Sarah. Justin Tucker in those games. So Sod Blitz is absolutely in his bag right now, and he's just churning out statistics. Richard Herbert.
Happy birthday. I hate saying kind adjectives to myself. Happy birthday to Sarah.
Sod Blitz says, where can I find a Discord invite? In the show notes, you can find the Bobby Baltimore Discord server. It's free, 24/7 conversation surrounding Baltimore sports and maybe a little bit on my dating life. John B. writes, happy holidays, everyone. Woo! Love you guys. And a 50 spot for you. And by the way, I should always mention what you guys donate to because we shouldn't just single out the 50s, like the 20s, the 2s, the $1.99s. All of them are really, really relevant and mean a lot to us. So,
that's
John,
why when
thank you.
Yes, and that's why when Sherry said this isn't much, it's like for my Bible readers out there, widow's mite. That's all I have to say.
Hey, John, thank you. And thanks to all 39 of you. And we have one more as well, who, of course, is coming in for Sarah. It's OG Pearled.
All right. You know what? I'm just going to say it differently depending on my mood. Okay.
You do your
so
thing.
This one I'll be like, whoa, dummy. Happy G Day or B Day, Sarah. I'm over MVP talks. Let's go get that ring. Hey, we only got 1 or 2 weeks left of it because we got one more game and then there's some voting going on. So it'll be over soon.
It will be. Appreciate all you guys. Again, 39 of you kind enough to throw in a super chat to hear your comment read aloud here inside the channel. Over 3,600 of you spending some time with us here on December 30th. Week 18 begins tomorrow. It's Ravens-Browns coming up on Saturday. More on that in just a bit. Sarah, as we all know, Christmas Day was significant for a number of reasons. Not only did the Ravens clinch a spot in the postseason, or I guess they did that the week prior, but they took another step forward to getting crowned AFC North champions, which if they win against Cleveland in the regular season finale, they will do for another year. Lamar also notably passed Michael Vick, somebody who he grew up idolizing on the football field in terms of all-time quarterback rushing yards. And what you're about to hear is a number of different things. Mike Vick talking about his record being broken, him weighing in on the MVP race, Howie Long weighing in on the MVP race, along with Terry Bradshaw as well. And this was on the CBS pregame show. I believe this was on Sunday or Saturday. Can't remember now. I believe it was Sunday. Here are those three guys weighing in on all of what I just mentioned.
Is it his to lose? I mean, he broke your rushing record all time already.
Yeah, I think it is Lamar Jackson's MVP to lose because, ever since their bye week and since they came back, they look like a totally different team. And, not to say that Lamar had any setbacks, but the way he's just approached the game over the last couple of weeks, he's just been doing some phenomenal things. Like you say, broke my record last week. I thought that was an amazing feat for him. All records are made to be broken. I won't say that it didn't sting a little bit, but he deserved it. He deserved it. He worked hard for it and got to credit the coaches that's been around him, for putting him in that position.
Yeah. You know what? When you look at Lamar, and I agree, I think Lamar should win it. He's just played outstanding. He's one of those guys that when he plays and you're watching him on television and they say they're behind a little bit, they're not going to be. You just know that he is going to bring his team back to victory. Accurate with, I never thought he would be this good a passer, to be honest with you. Outstanding passer, great poise, knows when to run. And that rushing record, he can have that. That's all right. Super Bowls is what he needs now. And I think he'll win another MVP and possibly get on to the Super Bowl.
But Howie, Josh Allen's still the betting favorite.
Yeah, it's still the betting favorite, but I think, recency bias, and I think it's kind of Lamar's taking it back over. There's 2 weeks left for Josh in Buffalo. I think if there's anything that gives Josh a good chance, maybe fatigue of giving it to Lamar. Lamar won it unanimous one year. He got every vote but one the other MVP year. Josh has certainly done a lot, and so has Saquon.
So, in other words, Sarah, a clean sweep there. And, of course, you could hear it. You could tell that was before the Bills-Jets game yesterday. That was the pregame show, all those guys weighing in. But a clean sweep, all of which were in Lamar's favor.
Okay, so a couple notes on this. One, I love how honest Vic was. He's like, I won't say it didn't sting a little bit. And it would. All these guys are competitive. He's happy for Lamar. He's been a huge champion for Lamar. I think he knew it was coming. But, of course, when it actually does, it stings nonetheless. To hear so many guys, suddenly got a scratch in my throat, to see so many guys saying, okay, it is Lamar's. Listen, I'll just say this. Whoever wins it, it is not going to be unanimous. We're going to be far from unanimous.
Right. And then one more from Nate Burleson, who weighed in also on CBS over the weekend.
I'm going with Lamar Jackson right now. And let me be very clear. I have been waffling back and forth. I feel like we are in a position where, as fans, this is what we want. We want it to come down to the last couple of weeks of the season. But Lamar Jackson, this season, he has effortlessly dominated defenses. He has made it look so easy. There is a fluidity in his game that I have not seen from him and any other quarterback in the NFL. I just feel like when it comes to what he's doing statistically, the head-to-head matchup and where we are in the season, him finishing strong, you cannot take this away from Lamar. And I do feel like there is some Lamar Jackson MVP fatigue. He's got it twice. Yeah. Does he need another one? Well, if he deserves it, then yeah, I believe he should get it.
Nate Burleson weighing in. And then we mentioned those core four, right? Those core AFC 4 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Jackson, Burrow, and Allen. Well, Ryan Clark mentioned all 4 of them in a tweet that garnered a ton of attention over the weekend. And he referred to where we are right now as the golden age of quarterback play. Mahomes is the greatest in the game, he says. Lamar is the most transformative. Josh, the most physically imposing. And Joe is playing at the highest level right now, all on their way to all-time greatness, led by Patrick. They can't all even be Pro Bowlers. 2 will be 1-2 in MVP voting. It won't be Joe, and I wouldn't be mad if he ended up being first-team All-Pro, which never happens. Still, none of those 3 is more probable to win Super Bowl MVP than the other guy, and it would be his 4th, of course, referring to Mahomes. What a time to be alive.
You know what?
Add him to the list of folks that feel like Joe Burrow's playing at the highest level right now, yet he's got the most losses, and it's not close among those 4.
So I agree with him that I think we're going to look back. I mean, I remember looking back in the 90s, and I'm thinking John Elway and Steve Young and why am I forgetting number 8 for the Cowboys? Obviously a Hall of Famer.
Oh, Troy Aikman.
But we're going to look back and be like, these 4 quarterbacks, Mahomes, Lamar, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, it's a golden age. It's a golden age with Lamar kind of transforming it the most. It's interesting because when you look at the 4 and you put the 4 together, people are arguing, well, is it about stats? Is it about value? Well, if it were, and why this is why it's actually a dumb question, because if it were only about stats, right, Joe Burrow would win it. If it's only about value, then Mahomes would win it, because Mahomes keeps doing it in the 4th quarter. Like, they just keep playing until the 4th quarter, and then Mahomes finds a way to do it, and they're 15-1. So if it were only about one of those 2 things, you're knocking out the 2 front runners. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so it's who has the best resume overall with all of that. That's really what you're looking at. And so that's why this whole thing where, like, if it's only about stats, then Lamar wouldn't have won it last year. No, it's never been only about that. And the other thing, and I meant to put this slide up earlier, but some of these tweets going off by fans are like going viral. I'm talking like 18,000 likes and, millions of views. But I'll just reiterate this. He at I don't know what at @therego_D. When Pat won 2 MVPs, nobody cared that he had Hill and Kelsey. Nobody cared that Peyton had Harrison and Wayne, or that Brady had Moss. And nobody cared that when Kurt had 2.4K scrimmage RB, Bruce and Holt. Don't give me this bullshiz because you thought I was going to say it.
Wow. And I was multitasking, getting ready for our next secondary topic here. And I was like, what? You caught me there.
You know me by now.
I perked up. I was like, hey, birthday girl, settle down over there.
No, I wouldn't do that. The only times I've ever cursed is when it's like accidentally come out when I meant to say another word and then that word came out. Like it's never been on purpose. I'll tell you that. Anyway, because most of you do not care the history or don't care about the history of the game. Then somebody else came back and said, Bills fans don't have to look too far from home. Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly finished 1 and 2 in MVP voting in the 90s. So we should have put that up earlier, but that's where the slide fell in.
All good. And this falls right in here because in line with history is what Saquon Barkley not only did yesterday for the Eagles, but has a chance to do against his former team coming up next weekend in the regular season finale, Sarah. Philadelphia is squarely involved in the postseason conversation, obviously, and we may only get one half of play from Saquon, but he needs 101 yards to break the all-time single-season rushing record, which is previously held, of course, by Eric Dickerson. He became the 9th player in NFL history to rush for 2,000-plus yards in a single season. He's had signature moments. He's had a big-time first season with Philadelphia. And, Sarah, I think you can write him in already as the Offensive Player of the Year because he has had a tremendous season.
He's had a tremendous season. Absolutely tremendous. Don't want to take anything away from him. If I'm Dickerson, I'm putting an asterisk if he breaks the record because Dickerson did it in 16 games.
Fair. That's right. Because back then, what was it? 94?
I don't remember the year.
1994. I can't remember the specific year, but clearly it was in, right, like you said, a different format. And you better believe there's probably going to be a different format in the coming years in the near future, Sarah, with the potential 18th game rumored to be potentially in there.
Real quick, Bobby, I got the chat just like I got you. They all thought I was about to swear. Then somebody said, hey, it's your birthday. You can. I appreciate that, but here's the thing. I don't want to. There's nobody stopping me from cursing. This is my choice. I'm not going to let go on my birthday. I'm trying to keep a streak alive here.
I love everybody. See, I was like, we all perked up. We were like, wait, what? You just caught us. You're keeping us on our toes. All right, mark your calendars accordingly. Coming up on Saturday, January 4th, 4:30 Eastern, Inside the Bank. It's the regular season finale. Cleveland, Baltimore, the whole Week 18 slate, as you see on the right-hand side of the screen. And for the audio-only audience, you can just look it up online. Everything's been announced, but as far as the Ravens are concerned, they will play host to the Cleveland Browns. Perhaps Dorian Thompson-Robinson will be under center, even though I heard Kevin Stefanski would not commit to that after getting smacked yesterday. So time will tell there. But what we know for sure, Sarah, is that if the Ravens win, they not only lock up the division, but they lock up the 3rd overall seed, which would mean they would play host wild card weekend to whoever is the 6th seed.
Yeah, and so when I was on Kay Adams' show right before ours, this was her first question. She wanted to know if Ravens flock was ticked off that the Ravens and the Browns are going Saturday at 4:30, while the Bengals and Steelers are going at 8 p.m. She said she notes how, like, on our show, this is how much she watches, Bobby. She knows that we react to the chat. And she's like, tell me, what are the Ravens fans saying? And I was like, well, they definitely see that it favors the Steelers. And at the same time, it's like, we'll just take care of business and you'll be fine. But yeah, it would. I mean, it does favor, like, if the Steelers get to rest their people because the Ravens, you know what I mean? And then, or the flip would have been true. If the Steelers lost and the Ravens could have rested their people. I mean, like, I thought for sure the NFL was going to put them in the same time slot.
You already know this is an NFL scheduling masterclass right here, because they are going to soak up every bit of relevance for the end of the regular season. And look at what's relevant right now and what could be historic. The Ravens have opened as 18.5-point favorites, Sarah, over Cleveland.
Dude, that's
that
bananas.
is insane to think about that kind of spread. And I also saw another nugget in terms of where that ranks historically in Ravens franchise history. And Jameson has it here. Jameson Hensley, ESPN.com. This would be, if it stands, the largest spread in the history of the team. It'd be the largest spread in the NFL since 2021, when the Cardinals were 20-point favorites over the Texans. So, look, you never want to overlook an opponent. Certainly not an opponent that's already beaten you once this year. But things have changed, and changed significantly in Cleveland, and that is very much in terms of why and of course, on top of that is what the Ravens have done since that game. But 18.5 is quite the generous spread there.
It is generous. And listen, spoiler alert, I'm sure we're both picking the Ravens over the Browns come Saturday. But, and I also wouldn't be surprised if they won, like, by double digits. But to have 18.5 to a team that already upset the Ravens, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
Is another level. That's another level.
Yep.
That's
and
crazy.
then some scenarios, though, that you also brought in from Jameson in terms of who they could potentially face.
Well, first, this is the seeding. Then we'll get who they could face. So the 3 scenarios that can happen based off of seeding. So I won't read it all. I'll just summarize it. If the Ravens win or tie, they will secure the number 3 seed, period. So according to ESPN Analytics, the number 3 seed, the Ravens have a 94.2% chance of being the number 3 seed. So highly, highly likely that they get that. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers lose, the Ravens will still be number 3 and host that first round playoff game. If the Ravens lose and the Steelers win, that under that scenario is when the Ravens would drop to the number 5 seed, and then they would have to play on the road. So the chance that the Ravens drop to number 5 and play on the road is a 5.8% chance. Okay. So there's that. Now, in terms of who they would face, okay, according to Hensley, if the Ravens win the AFC North, hold on. According to ESPN Analytics, here are the projected chances for the number 6 seed and who would play at the number 3 seed and the AFC North champion. So whoever wins the champion, the percentage is that the Chargers will be a 73.7%. Okay, so if the Ravens maintain the number 3 seed, there's basically a 75% chance their opponent will be the Chargers. Now, in the another scenario, whether the Ravens lose or win, the Steelers have a 26.3% chance of playing the Ravens. So basically, it's the Chargers or Steelers.
And either way, teams that they've already faced this year. So there will be some familiarity there, particularly if it's Pittsburgh. But right now, the odds, as you see here, percentages,
and real quick,
Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers.
Yes, sorry to interrupt you. And real quick, here's how the Chargers get there. The Chargers get the number 6 seed if they lose the Raiders, or if they win and the Steelers win. So the only way that so if the Steelers get there, it's if the Steelers lose to the Bengals and the Chargers win.
There you have it.
Okay.
Coming into next weekend, some things to keep in mind. And this was something to keep in mind until the Dolphins and Tyler Huntley beat Cleveland yesterday. But Pro Football Talk via Omar Kelly, who covers the Miami Dolphins, reported earlier that they were expected to release Calais Campbell if they were eliminated this past weekend, which, again, they are still mathematically in this. He would then go to waivers, and if he clears waivers, free agency, but that's not going to be the case right now. And Jeff was asked about it, of course, in his mentions. And as you screenshot here, he said, yes, I would think the Ravens would have some interest. And yes, I'd also be surprised if he's not claimed by a team with better waiver position than them. So perhaps it would have been unlikely if they did end up losing. But again, the Dolphins are still in this race.
Yeah. So we don't. Bottom line is I'd be a little bit surprised if Calais Campbell came to Baltimore.
Yep.
Even if he were released, like the Ravens are low on the waiver wire, and I think somebody else would pick him up before the Ravens could.
Marlowe's going to be getting some cash taken out of his account. NFL fined him over $11,000 for unsportsmanlike conduct, aka taunting, which was what they deemed to be holding the ball towards Steelers wide receiver Calvin Austin on his way into the end zone after that pick 6 of Russell Wilson. Of course, Sarah, you remember what Marlon came way out, got to try to get way out in front of this and said that he was looking to pitch it to his teammate David Ajabo. The NFL said, not so fast, Marlon.
He sure tried. We give him an A for effort. But even the most ardent Ravens fan was like, nah, look at that, nah. And the NFL was not buying it.
It still cracks me up that he really did everything that was in his power to get out in front of it, right? Addressing it unprompted. Like, that's just so classic Marlon.
I just want to make it clear. I was trying to give it to Ajabo, but he was too slow.
Marlon, it's you and it's Ravens Steelers. Okay. Those two things, your case, not exactly a strong one. And how about that defensive turnaround?
Oh, the defensive turnaround. I think this was posted by the Baltimore Banner, but the source is from Chew Media. Let's just keep reliving this turnaround. And by the way, we got an email because we talked about the turnaround to start on our show Friday. We got an email saying, hey, you guys never mentioned Dean Pease when we talked about it for 30 minutes. So I do want to give a shout out to Dean Pease. He's obviously a contributing factor, and his fingerprints are all over this defense. But let's take a look between weeks 1 through 10 to weeks 11 through 17. How about the scoring defense, Bobby? Giving up 25.3 points per game through the first 10 weeks, which ranked 25th in the league. Woof. Now, weeks 11 through 17, only giving up 16.3. First in the league. Boom. Yep. Okay. How about yards per game? Giving up 367.9, ranking 27th in the league. Woof. They've shaved off 100 yards per game since week 11, which is first. Boom. Pass defense, which we know was ranked 32nd in the league for the first 10 weeks. 294.9 through the air. 32nd absolute worst. Woof. This one shocks me the most. 171.2 yards, passing yards per game, weeks 11 through 17. Second in the league. Boom. That to me is crazy. Then we could get into EPAs and all the rest, but those three. Bobby, to go from 32nd to second, mind blown. Mind blown.
As is my mind right now, the play on words between woof and boom. Thank you so much for breaking that down category by category. We all knew where you stood with certain categories there. Woof was obviously on the left-hand side. Boom was on the right, for sure. And how about this? Down to the wire they go. Terrell Suggs and Marshall Yanda named finalists for 2025 Pro Football Hall of Fame enshrinement and consideration. Good for them. They have made it to the final cut, Sarah.
Not to mention Steve Smith Sr. He's made it too. The Ravens just don't push that one forward as much as because I think the Panthers are obviously who drafted him and he was their longest. But woo, and by the way, I keep bringing up Kay Adams' show. Talk about a tough act to follow. She had a massive segment with Luke Kuechly, who's a finalist, and I had to follow that guy.
Oh, he's definitely a finalist.
I bet her traffic started dropping as soon as he went down and I came up.
Hey, that dude's a beast, and had he not, left early, he'd probably still be playing. It's also, just to mark your calendar, guys, the class of 2025 will be unveiled February 6th during NFL Honors. So February 6th, that's Super Bowl week, of course, in New Orleans. NFL Honors, February 6th. We'll find out.
They're both making it?
Part of me thinks that Marshall's going to get slighted the first go around.
It's tough for an offensive
simply because
lineman,
of his position. Yeah, I hate to say that, but I feel like it's going to become somewhat of a popularity contest, and he's going to be slighted because of his position.
Just so people know, I'll run through it quickly. The 15 finalists: Eric Allen, Jared Allen, Willie Anderson, Jahir Evans, Antonio Gates. I feel like Torrey Holt, Luke Kuechly, Eli Manning, Steve Smith Sr., Terrell Suggs, Fred Taylor, Adam Vinatieri. He better not make it over Yanda. Reggie Wayne, Darren Woodson, and Marshall Yanda.
Yeah.
Reggie Wayne.
He's a lock.
Oh, come on.
I feel like Suggs is a lock. Wayne is a lock. Eli's a lock.
Jared Allen?
Yeah.
Antonio Gates?
Jared and Gate. It's going to be tough for Marshall.
Tough.
I hate to say it. It's going to be close, but it's going to be tough. And then I'm so glad you brought this in because Greg Gumbel passed away, legendary CBS Sports, and really he's worked for a couple of different networks throughout his time. Greg Gumbel passed away, and what an amazing outpouring of tributes across all networks, not just from CBS over the weekend. Greg was a March Madness staple, called a couple Super Bowls, had a certain voice that just made you feel like whatever it was that he was presenting was a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
And I was a huge, you know me and my broadcasting nerdy ways. I was just a huge fan. Anything that he touched turned to gold and royalty when it comes to broadcasting and a Super Bowl-like feel whenever he was a part of it, particularly with Selection Sunday and March Madness. So rest in peace to one of the great ones. And I really, really enjoyed all the tributes that were all over network television this past weekend.
Absolutely. And Bobby, I watched a CBS kind of, highlight video of him. And it just reminded me how versatile these broadcasters are, right? Like we're keyed in on the NFL and even more zoomed in on the Ravens. But I mean, he can go from Olympic skiing to the NBA to the NFL and like just so smooth, such a smooth operator. But among those highlights from his career reminded me, he called the Ravens' first Super Bowl win. I didn't know that.
That's right.
I forgot about that. Or I knew it, but I forgot about it. So he called the first Ravens Super Bowl win. Then obviously we all remember that he called the Mile High Miracle when Joe Flacco hit Jacoby Jones deep and upset the Denver Broncos. Yep. So happy that he's a part of Ravens history because his voice and his commentary will be forever linked to that. And he was phenomenal. So like you, I say rest in peace, love and prayers to his family. And I say this often because I envision it for myself. The family reunion is going to be off the hook and will be absolutely joyous for them to reunite. Much love to Greg Gumbel and his career.
I'm so glad you reminded us on that as well, because that was a legendary postseason run, obviously. And to have a legendary voice on those calls made it a little bit sweeter as well and entertaining. You know, had a pretty darn good call that as well on the radio side of things. Jerry Sandusky and Kadri Ismail.
Oh, yes.
An awesome radio booth there on WBAL. And you got one more clip here before we get to super chats and patrons of Bait dropping the hammer.
It's going to give me the excuse to say boom again. This is going to be great. Okay. I think that Coach Evans was the first one that I saw find this. Maybe somebody else did, but he's the first one that I saw. Check out Rashod Bateman's blocking skills. Somehow this will be used against Lamar also, but I don't care. Here we go. Check out these blocking. Okay, hold on real quick. Let's find him. Number 7, all the way to your right. Okay. All right. Check out his blocking. Here we go. Boom.
Okay, Bate. Look at Bate. Ragdolling him.
He's supposed to chip him. Is that Will Anderson Jr.?
That's Will Anderson, yeah. Yeah, that's not a small dude.
This is supposed to be a chip just to help out the rookie, Roger Rosengarten.
Yep.
Watch this again.
How about Bate with some hand usage here?
Oh.
Doesn't take much.
Boom! He's on the ground.
Did Will not see him? Like,
he must not have. Dude, Roger Rosengarten had to jump back so he wouldn't get rolled up on. Roger Rosengarten didn't have to do a job here.
Wow.
He was like, okay, I'll just make sure you don't get up.
He must not have seen him. That's like, this is Will Anderson we're talking. Bate just ragdolls him here. Bang.
He definitely didn't see him.
Wow. But hey, the fact that Bate's doing that kind of dirty work.
Well, and where did Bate go on the route? I just got to see the route afterwards. Sorry, one more time. Where's the route? At a stage. Here we go. Where does he end up? I mean, he was hoping too. He was hoping too.
Yep. I love it.
Get it, Bate.
Good
That was
find
awesome.
there by the crew.
Yeah.
Dion Coleman, Lisa Mason, thank you for believing in what we're building. You guys are valued members, and you have been literally since the opening week that we made our Patreon. You've been valued members of our Patreon community. So thank you for all the support that you give us. Happy holidays to you and yours. And if you guys are interested in doing the same, you can support the channel. It goes directly towards our daily efforts to bring you this kind of content for as little as $1.99. Patreon.com/RavensVault podcast is where you can find and learn more on all the information that we're providing you. Let's get to some closing super chats.
Let's do it.
Let's see. Where did we leave off here? I believe it was OG Pearled. So Randon Sims, I'll let you take this one.
Using Lamar as the measuring stick is nasty work. Heck, using service level stats to trick the public is nasty work. SMH at NFL analyst.
And Richard says, I can't take this one.
Oh, let Sarah answer. Happy birthday. I'm not reading that. I
You have to. Come on. He wants you. He gave you a super chat. He's calling you a superwoman. Wonder Woman. You see, this is so funny about you. You have such humility about you, right? That whether it's an adjective that is complimenting your appearance or your abilities or your humor or whatever it is, you can't seem to get there. Next level humility.
Well,
I'm not going to force you to do something on your birthday.
I appreciate you. It's Richard, right? Osmodius is Richard. Yes. I appreciate you, Richard. It's not true, but I appreciate you.
Chris says, I'm picturing you in like a superwoman like cartoon.
Sure, for Halloween.
You know? Yeah. Oh man. Chris writes, DEI win for Josh because he won't earn one in this era. Randon, another one.
Can't wait for the Steelers and Bills playoff game.
Hey, by the way, Chris, too, let us know. We will let you know because remember, I think whoever won last, did not a fan gift his giveaway?
Yes.
Okay. So, but was it not a fan that gave it up? Or who won last week, Friday?
I think it was not a fan that gave it up.
Okay. Well, anyway, I can't remember. Shoot, I can't remember who won. It wasn't I don't think it was not a fan, but whoever won last week, and we're just forgetting right now because we're off the top of our head. Chris, we have submitted your order to Homage. So hopefully when we have tracking information, we will forward that to you.
Chris said it was P&B.
Oh, Purple and Black.
Purple
That's
and
right.
Black.
Okay. Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Purple and Black. Shout out Purple and Black. And shout out John B, who just dropped in a second $50 super chat. I'll let you take it.
John, thank you. Happy birthday, Sarah. Love the energy from both you guys today. There is a lot of energy today. There's some birthday energy around here for sure.
Definitely. Which means we got to get out of here because you got to celebrate the rest of your day. Lauren Wonderlick
No,
says,
you know what my husband did? You want to know what I'm doing at 2:00?
Oh, yeah. Well, I know, but tell everybody else.
We're meeting with like our financial guy for our will for our kids.
Stop.
I was like, honey, you put that at 2:00? And he's like, He's like, well, I'll be in it on the ride home, and then we'll go out, and so we won't waste any time. And I'm like, all right, that's fine. We're not going out until he gets home anyway. So.
And the celebration did begin yesterday.
Last night. Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
We had a big dinner. Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Lauren writes, tuning in late. Happy birthday, Sarah. And Lauren, again,
thank you, Lauren.
Keep myself accountable here because I know your email is sitting there. We still have to respond back to Lauren because she inquired about postseason packages advertising wise. So when he hits you up, Lauren, via email, we will. It's been between holidays and everything else. Unfortunately, we just haven't got back to you yet, but we will. Dr. Ad Sykes, I definitely looked up in a shocking manner, Sarah. You interrupted my work with the bull shiz. I thought you had finally allowed the sailor to come out. LOL.
If it ever comes out, I promise you it'll be on accident.
Unreal. Benjamin.
Which I know all of you guys are looking for. You guys are just waiting for me to slip up.
Oh, they're pushing it hard.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Shoot, I might be in that group. You never know.
The way you looked up, I can tell you are definitely in that group.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Okay. Funny how these Bills fans are in the chat. Or are they in the chat?
Oh, there's a few more. Yeah.
Okay. But not even our divisional opponents act this insecure.
And D-Rod says, happy birthday, Sarah. I'll let you take this one, the rest of it.
Woo-wee, dummy. And then he's got hashtag woof. Now we got to add hashtag boom.
Heck yeah. We appreciate you guys for all the generosity. 48 of you chose to drop in super chats this afternoon. We appreciate you. Alan wants me to sing happy birthday. No. Unless you want me to.
Well, I think I would like to hear you sing happy birthday or sing anything because I just want to hear your singing voice, but it would be a little awkward if we're like looking into the cameras. So I don't want that. But if you could sing something, that would be great.
Well, I think you've heard it before. You have
What
sometimes in the past. I feel like you've logged on before, and I've just kind of been singing my country music
Yeah,
pre-show.
but that's kind of underneath. I don't think I've really gotten the full experience. Like, what would be your go-to song if you had to go a cappella?
All right, how about this? Middle school, my buddy and I did a talent show.
Okay.
He was on guitar duty, and I was on singing duty, and it was Hey There, Delilah. Let's see how much I remember of it.
Okay. All right. We only need like 10. Oh, sorry. We only need like 10 seconds. Go ahead.
If Richard wants in on this. Okay. Let me just put this back a little bit. Hey there, Delilah. What's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty. Yes, you do. Oh, no, I forget it. I need the lyrics. Hold on.
It's a good song. There's not a lot of range in this song.
Ugh, I can't do range.
All
right, here we go.
Well, first of all, I got no range. I've got no singing voice. I have nothing.
Here we go. Hey there, Delilah. What's it like in New York City? I'm 1,000 miles away, but girl, tonight you look so pretty. Yes, you do. Oh, here it is. Times Square can't shine as bright as you.
Oh, wait, aren't you?
I swear it's true. Hey there, Delilah, don't you worry about the distance. I'm right there. If you get lonely, give this song another listen. Close your eyes. Listen to my voice, it's my disguise. I'm by your side. Oh, and then I definitely cannot do it.
I was going to say, I was waiting for that part. part.
Yeah.
Okay, well, first of all, can I just say something? Aren't you about to go on a New Year's Eve? It's a blind date, right?
Yeah.
Are you guys going to Times Square?
We are going to Syracuse. And I have made myself a promise. And let me know when you're ready for it.
I was born ready for this. What's your promise?
I think I have shot myself in the foot with some oversharing
on
this show.
Okay.
And I think in the back of my mind, some of that oversharing has been due to deep down me realizing that they're probably not that realistic, that they're probably not going in the direction that I feel like is worthy of commitment. And so with that in mind, I'm very excited about what's coming up tomorrow, and I'm going to keep it off the air between you and me. And when and if or when that time comes, you already know. I'm going to be super upfront with everybody.
Okay.
But that's where I'm at.
I respect that.
Yeah.
I respect that.
Yeah.
Where I was going with that, and you don't have to share, but just by chance, her name isn't Delilah, right?
No. No, not quite. And I'm definitely not going to sing because clearly my pitch was off. I needed some of the. If I had the instrumental, the pitch would have been right there. But the pitch was off. I know that. I'm sure the chat's already.
No, you sounded great.
But what are you?
Pitch wasn't off. Pitch wasn't off. That was. Listen, the fact that you just did that. I don't know anybody like you. The fact that you just did that cold turkey a cappella with almost 4,000 people listening. That's just live. Who knows how many other people are going to listen afterwards. I just don't know anybody like you. You are just completely unafraid and unapologetically yourself. And my bad for putting out your blind date for tomorrow. I feel like you've shared all of them. I didn't know that this was the one.
But no,
well, people are
I
going to know anyway,
already shared
right?
it though. I definitely already shared it.
Okay.
Like I shared what's happening.
Yes.
I'm going on a double date with a good college buddy, and we're going to a Syracuse basketball game, and then to like an Irish pub for like an all-in kind of night.
Right.
So.
And you aren't going to be here tomorrow. So people.
Yeah, and you and I. Yeah, you and I obviously.
So you did already say it. I was like nervous. I revealed something that.
No,
wait a minute. Okay. All right.
No. And you and I, spoiler alert. Now, you and I obviously have some programming discussions to have in terms of how we're going to handle the next 24 plus hours. But I know I will be back in the noon chair, New Year's Day.
New Year's Day. Yep. All right.
Yep. But goes without saying, when the time is right, you already know I'm going to share. You already know. But I just think that and a lot of people have given me that feedback in the past, and I'm with them. I think as much as I like to be forthright and transparent with everybody, I think this is in my best interest.
I agree. So,
we got a couple more super chats, by the way.
Oh boy, here we go.
Not a fan says, on that note, I'm out. That must have been at the start of the concert.
Yes.
Snoot, hey.
I don't know why you'd want to leave that concert though. That was highly entertaining.
Yeah, Gerald thinks it's free. It was.
Yeah.
It was free.
Yeah. Although Gerald's giving a donation for the concert though. No.
Yes, thank you, Gerald. Appreciate you. And Thor says, sing HB like Marilyn Monroe sang it for JFK.
We will
and
pass
on that note, we appreciate you guys. Partner, any closing words from you on your day of birth?
Oh, you know what? It's just been a happy day. Not afraid to say it. I'm 45 today. I've said this before. My 40s have been my favorite decade, like by far. And I can't think of a bad decade. I just feel like life's been rolling. Not without its obvious challenges or tragedies or anything like that, but life's been good. God is good. My family's good. You're good. It's just been a happy day. I've been, I got up. I want to get up early. I got up at 7, did some laundry, got my car washed. I did a arms workout today. Rushed back. I got within all of this. I'm getting millions of phone calls and texts and tweets and all that kind of stuff. Talk to my parents. Jump on with Kay. We did the quickest pre-production meeting we've ever had prior to Kay, and then I'm here with you guys. It's just been like when they say have a happy birthday. Like I'm genuinely happy. And I appreciate all of you because you're a part of that.
That sounds like the best gift you possibly could have received from all angles. So
yeah.
Sherry drops in one more closing super sticker. We just wanted to say thank you guys for a tremendous start to the week. Partner, again, happy birthday to you. I hope you have an awesome rest of your day. And we will obviously be in touch in terms of what our plans are for tomorrow. At the very least, we will have content, of course, live coming up at 12 noon New Year's Day. Still in the works for what you can expect coming up tomorrow, New Year's Eve. Have a happy New Year. Jemmy93, another closing super chat, says hoping for a Super Bowl win for the Ravens as a birthday wish. There you go. Why not?
Why not? Jeez.
Everybody showing some love. 53 of you have dumped in super chats today. We appreciate you guys for being here. Thank you. A special thank you to Homage for today's episode. They were the sponsor, and we will have another coming up on Wednesday, New Year's Day, to celebrate 2025. We will do a free t-shirt giveaway. Simple instructions. Awesome Wednesday show that we have coming up for the next few weeks. And we want to continue to thank Homage for their support and belief in what we're building here. So for Sarah Ellison, I'm Bobby Trossett signing off from this Monday Ravens Lunch Hour live stream. We'll catch up with you soon. As always, on your way out, if you could, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell. And maybe, just maybe, show some birthday love on your way out to partner. Not that she hasn't gotten enough already, but why the heck not? Thank you guys. And as always, thanks for spending some time with us here inside the vault. We'll talk to you soon.